Our next critical learning phase is counting objects by groups. Children are often asked to orally count groups using a sequence like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, without using manipulatives. Doing this often leads to misconceptions. When counters are then placed in front of the child, they will count one counter at a time, saying the same sequence: 2, 4, 6, 8. This occurs when children count coins because they move one object but count by fives or tens. In the beginning, some will organize the objects they are counting into groups, but count by ones or a combination of ones and twos. In time, children will group the objects and touch each group, saying the counting sequence. This will come as they start to realize that counting by groups is a shortcut for counting by ones. Children who have mastered this milestone will form groups as they go, using counting by groups as a shortcut for counting by ones. Children believe the quantity changes when counted a different way. If they counted a group by ones and then were asked to count the group by twos, they often assume they will land or end on a different amount. As children have more opportunities to count groups different ways, they will realize that the quantity stays the same no matter how the group was counted. Students who have mastered this critical learning phase will be able to look at these counters and know that by counting by ones, there are a total of 8. Then realize that they can count by twos and that there are still 8 counters present. And lastly, the total remains 8 even if they've counted them by fours. The last critical learning phase on the counting continuum is using symbols. It is possible for children to recognize and name numerals without having any idea what quantity it represents. Children need to know how to name the numerals, but also the quantities that they represent. For children to learn this, numerals should be taught in association with what they represent. I'll say that again. In order for students to learn this, numerals should be taught in association with what they represent. Children who have mastered this milestone can match or label a group of objects with the corresponding numeral. Again, remember, the purpose of the numeral is to represent the quantity. Let's kind of think about this in a different example. Close your eyes and imagine a cat. Okay, open your eyes. So the majority of you probably imagine something that looks similar to the four-legged animal here on the screen. Well, close your eyes and create an image in your mind of a cat. Open your eyes. Many of you probably visualize the image similar to the one that you see on the screen. And that's because when learning to read, we often teach students to create images in their head. They associate the word cat with a picture of a cat, not the letter C-A-T, because they have begun to internalize the word. We want students to do the same thing with numbers and quantities. If we ask them to visualize the number 6, we do not want them to see the numeral in isolation, but to also visualize the quantity that 6 also represents.